Well, welcome to See Hear Love. I am your host, Melinda, and I'm coming to you from my kitchen in my home in Burlington, Ontario. And I'm so excited because today we are actually virtually in British Columbia, where we start off our coast-to-coast conversations across Canada, hitting every province and territory as we go, learning from amazing women about God and what he's doing, hope stories and encouragement. I'm so excited to be here in British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia. And what I love too is my co-host on this crazy adventure is none other than Anne Miranda. Welcome, Anne. It's so good to have you here and with us. I love that you are my co-host on this journey, and so great that you're here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey Mel, I'm so sorry. All of a sudden I was muted and I couldn't unmute and I felt like I was in a vortex. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How do I get on this thing? I am doing really well. Like, I'm from Surrey, British Columbia. I am coming to you from this is my office. And I'm just really thrilled. And pastor of women's ministries at Village Church here in Surrey. And I'm a mama of two wonderful kids, and I'm learning how to do this homeschool thing at the same time as working full time, all this fun stuff. Married to an amazing man named Carlos. He's a true romantic Latino, and just having a lot of fun right now in this season, and trying to stay centered and focused as we're navigating through really interesting times.
Amazing. I know you have a love for women across Canada.
Absolutely. One of my massive passions is developing women in leadership under a network called Leverage. And I believe I've just been gifted a row in the front seat to see and witness women developing across this nation and rising up to what God has called us to do.
Amazing. I'm so glad you are co-hosting with me, Anne, and I'm looking forward to your thoughts too as a BCer today. So
that's right. I'm a BCer today. Yeah.
Also, we have special guest Vicki Yeats. Vicki, welcome. Tell us who you are.
Welcome to everybody here, and I'm just excited to be online. I'm from Langley, British Columbia, and I'm a mom of two kids and a grandma to two. And I'm also been married for 35 years to my wonderful hubby. We moved to Langley only about 5 years ago. Originally, our whole lives were in Victoria, so we were on Vancouver Island for 50 years. So I've recently retired. I was with 30 years with the province of BC, and recently retired this past year, and just taking some time now to determining where I'm going, where God's leading me. But my passion is I align with Anne very much so, and other leaders in the Lower Mainland here of women in leadership, and how to develop the younger women that when I was younger in the church wasn't likely something that would be there. So just trying to look where that goes, navigate those waters as I go through this next year. So.
Amazing. Welcome, Vicki. I'm glad you're here. Next, we have Elita Friesen. Elita, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. So I am originally from Houston, Texas. So I'm an American girl. And when I met my husband, he's Canadian. He scooped me up and brought me up here. So we have 4 awesome kids, and they're all dual citizens. And we live in Langley right now. And we are actually preparing, though, to move into the heart of Vancouver with a church plant. And it's called The Way Vancouver, where I will actually be serving on the teaching and pastoral teams. So that church launches in September, and we're super excited. But in the meantime, we're here in Langley, and we're actually just like maybe 5 minutes away from Vicki. So she's a neighbor and a friend. Anyways, but yeah, we've been at CLA, and I've been involved in women's ministry there, and I was on staff for a little bit until now we're moving over to Vancouver. But yeah, I love it here, and very much feel like this is home now. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'm glad you're here, Elita. All right, Stephanie Wright, welcome.
Thank you so
How,
much.
how's all of our hair doing as you can see while we're in the pandemic?
I have roots for days too. Don't you worry. I have not been getting my hair done or had it done at all during this. So yeah, I am Stephanie Wright. I have had the privilege of owning a hair salon down in White Rock, BC's beach. For 15 years, it will be in October. And I have a daughter who's in grade 6. She's 11. Awesome husband for 15-ish years too, 14, 15 years. I don't even know. And yeah, I love mentorship. I love that one-on-one connection with my staff where we're mentoring and I'm helping develop growth within them and get them to their potential. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Amazing. Well, let's start with our first question for all of you, which is what I really want to sort of focus on provincially. But what is something unique to your city or in British Columbia that you just love? Letting all of us out, for some of us that are living outside of BC, what do you love about your city or province? Let's start with you, Vicki. What would you say?
I love that we're a sea to sky. You can be in the morning in Vancouver on the beach and then 2 hours north heading up and going skiing at Whistler. So I love that flexibility and that expanse. So that's what I love about BC.
Sea to sky.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's beautiful. Stephanie, what about you?
She stole mine.
Oh.
that is the same thing. You know, I grew up in little town called Tawasin where our days were walking the beaches and then we would go, you know, skiing in our local even mountains in Vancouver, Grouse, Cypress, Seymour and stuff. So I love that same thing that we can be hiking and we can be at the beach, we can be in the mountains, like you can enjoy so much in BC.
Yeah, beautiful. Elita.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, it is unique to Vancouver. We have this we're in such a beautiful location to be able to do both things. But I would add to that, because I am American, I do love our proximity to the border. And we can just drive across and go back and forth and we can hit up Target and then drive back across. There's, you know what I'm saying, right? Like there's go to Trader Joe's and then come back in the afternoon. There's some beautiful things like that. But generally, I mean, you just can't help but see the work of the Lord when you go outside in Vancouver. And summertime is just, we put up with the other 10 months of rain for the 2 months of summer. And it's so wonderful. So love it here.
Amazing. Anne, your thoughts about living in BC?
Yeah, I believe the majority of us are here because of the weather and the beauty and splendor of creation. I think that it's such a beautiful place, and whether we live in the suburbs, whether we're in the city, whether we're up north or in the Okanagan, every part of it is, you just are in awe and splendor of God's, the work of his fingertips. So yeah, I believe that is what I love so much about this side of Canada.
Yeah, I love it. When I have visited, I would say all of that. For people here in Ontario, our dream is to eventually migrate and live in British Columbia. And for all the people from Ontario that have moved over to British Columbia, they've never come back. I have a lot of friends and family who have never made it back to Ontario. We've all kept them there in BC. Now, Anne, when we were talking about this whole coast-to-coast conversation, I'm pretty sure that we are learning a lot about ourselves and our relationship with God through this new season. You know, we come into 2020 with no idea that we would be in this situation. But what are you learning about yourself and God, his character, or your relationship with him through this time? Vicki, let's start with you.
Right now, I'm supposed to be was supposed to be in Zambia on a missions trip at the Villages of Hope, serving there. And so I said, okay, so God, what do you want me to learn from this during this time? So I didn't really put it all together until I pulled out all the books I've been kind of working on, and every single one is about prayer. And so this is my time to really just kind of hunker down. I'm a huge multitasker, so to hunker down and focus in on one thing is a huge task for me. Like, it has to be intentional, and I have to catch myself. But I'm working on 3 different books and doing an online Bible study on prayer. I guess I want to be able to look 5 years from now or whatever and look back and say, what changed because of this and what did I do? And that's, for me, it's prayer. I need to really figure out some things with that.
Well, we'll be looking forward, Vicki, to see what those prayers, where they bring you to. Or on. It'll be really interesting in a couple months when we come back to you and say, Vicki, how are those prayers and what was answered? Or are you still in sort of the questions? But it'll be really interesting to see and encouraged by that. So prayer is something that you're really kind of having the space and time to do, more intentional, and something that you're really learning about yourself. I love that. That's great. Stephanie, what about you? What are you learning about yourself and your relationship with God through this time?
Oh, lots. I definitely need to be in prayer more. I realized that really early on as I struggled with my daughter and this new like homeschooling. And I was like, I am not patient. I'm not loving. I'm not kind. Like when I'm met with like difficult situations or the amount of stress that was piling up. I was closing my business. Did I still have staff? What was next? How God has shown up. It's crazy because in this time of being able to have more time, at the beginning, I felt I actually that had less time because I was trying to like close things. And I just was like, I've got to journal again. Like all my journals are these poems of crying out, of praying and getting, and I love like reading old journals, but I had just totally gotten out of the habit of just like writing to God and that being my prayer and not maybe voicing it in the same way. And I just was sorry is that we lost my stepson, my husband's son, 5 years ago in a tragic car accident where it's an immediate, like crazy life change for us in a matter of 4 hours. And so who God was during that time to us and who he is through today, he is still the same. He's still bringing worship into me. He's still bringing, like, I was so scared that I was never going to find my joy again. And he brought my joy back. So all of those things, I know he is there for me, with me, and leads me through this. And so I don't need to be afraid. And that's what I keep even saying to my staff is that, you know, if we can kind of like dig in to who we are and our foundations, like I am rooted in Christ. So he is going to guide me in my next steps and to continue just to pray and journal that. So that's kind of what I found.
Love that. That God is the same no matter during the crisis or during crisis, in the everyday, and he will help you. He'll help you get through this day by day, one day at a time, right, Stephanie?
One day at a time.
Yeah. Good. Thank you so much for sharing. Alita, what about you? What are you learning about yourself and God through this season, through COVID-19?
Yeah, well, a lot of the same things that you girls are learning. I'm learning that I'm relearning the ministry of motherhood, I think, in that everything kind of got, as much as I didn't really want it to kind of got pushed to the side. When I have 4 kids, they're all home and they need me to kind of keep them on track for school. And we only have so many computers. And so I've just got to sit there and let them have these devices. And so it's been a new learning curve for me in that way, to have to let things go. And it was interesting because right before COVID-19 hit, I had just, I have been reading different books about Sabbath, but I had been really just learning about Sabbath. And so this was very much kind of like a forced stop, slow down. And I mean, of course, I do not, wouldn't have prayed for this or wished for this or anything, but you have to look for the good in the midst of the bad. And so the good part of it is that the Lord has just taught me to slow down, to enjoy my kids, to relearn how to do long division. And apparently it's changed, let me tell you. Anyway, I don't know how that's even possible, but it's changed. And to learn how my kids learn and to kind of like fall in love with my kids again, and to see how the things that make them tick. And even just yesterday, they were all, I have 3 boys, and they're all so different. And the things that they each love to do, and the way that they were expressing to me on Mother's Day, you know, why they love me for the things that I help them with. And I don't know, it's just been a really beautiful season for re-enjoying motherhood and learning how to trust God. Of course, we're all learning that right now, but for us, we're trying to make this move into Vancouver, and we have had several panic moments of, oh, has this changed? Are we still going to move? What's going to happen? And over again, we just keep hearing the Lord, of course, not audibly speak, but kind of just whisper in our spirits, taste and see that I am good. I will provide for you. Like, just let me make much of my name. And so we're just like, okay, Lord, we will trust you. We will follow you, even though it was already hard before, and now it feels almost impossible. And I think God loves to work through the seemingly impossible situations, right? So then there's just no doubt that it's him doing it. So we're continuing to trust him through that. So yeah.
Amazing. Thanks, Elita. And when we were talking about this coast to coast, I think one of the things that we were encouraged by is that we're going to be talking to women in different provinces, starting in BC, but we're all the same. Like what they're saying, prayer and motherhood and being reminded that God is our rock. Those are all things that women all across Canada, the world, are working on, struggling with, relearning. When you say these are kinds of the things that when we were talking, saying, I think there's going to be a lot more similarities as we go across the provinces, and there are really differences.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing to hear. This is humanity, right? These are the things that we struggle with, the things that we love, the things that we've missed out on. It's definitely universal. We're going to hear so many of the same echoes because it's a global pandemic. Therefore, there's actually global healing happening as well. There's, you're saying, Elita, look for the good things that are happening. There's a global pressing in to God. There's him showing up in the supernatural in various ways around the globe. It's such a beautiful thing to just stop and pause and lean into that a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. And I think for me, I think there's a lot there that as I'm listening to, I think my prayer life has been, it was a little stalled, and in a crisis like this, and when change happens, you're digging in a lot more to say, okay, God, you've got my attention. Here's some, I've got lots of more time to talk with you. I think motherhood, being in a blended family, and our kids come to our home every other week as they are with their mother the other weeks, just learning how to do blended family and transition well within a pandemic, and understanding schooling, space in the home. And then I think also just knowing about my own value. I am productive and high achiever and a control freak. When a lot of these things kind of go out the window, who are you? Who are you? And are you still valuable and valued as someone who is not producing or doing much? And so these are kind of the questions that someone who's been a follower of Jesus since the beginning, has had to wrestle with. So they're good things. They're hard things. They're exhausting. They give me anxiety and stress, but they're good. So thank you for sharing all of this. We're going to go to a break now. When we come back, Anne is going to share a devotional, and then we're going to hear from Vicki, Stephanie, and Elita, their encouragement to the women and men in British Columbia and into the rest of Canada. So stay with us.
Check out the See, Hear, Love podcast and get the backstory.
Good job.
Get the inside scoop on real issues and real answers on common challenges we all face in relationships and in life. Find See, Hear, Love on Apple Podcasts.
Hi, I'm Melinda, host and executive producer of See, Hear, Love, and I hope you are enjoying our conversation today. Well, you may not realize that See, Hear, Love is made possible by the support of viewers and listeners like you. So would you please consider becoming a monthly donor? Any gift goes a long way in helping us build a community of women and men who talk about real issues and struggles as we navigate our faith together. Well, please go to seehearlove.com now and click on the big purple donate button. Thanks so much. Start your week off with me in your inbox. Sign up for our weekly newsletter today for exclusive content of See Hear Love, blogs, behind-the-scenes footage, and access to giveaways you'll love. Sign up today and let's start our week together. All right, well, we're back with our coast-to-coast conversation here in beautiful British Columbia with Vicki Yeats, Elita Friesen, Stephanie Wright, and co-host Anne Miranda, just sharing our thoughts about being women in British Columbia and how we're navigating through COVID-19 and crisis. So, Anne, I know that you brought a devotional that I know will encourage women here in BC, but also across Canada. So why don't you share with us your devotional?
Awesome. Well, something that British Columbia is known for, and it's been an echo through this time that we have been together, is Sea to Sky. We have a highway called the Sea to Sky Highway. And you actually, when you're driving up to go to Whistler, you have to take that highway, and it starts off, and you can see on your left-hand side as you're going up, it's this beautiful landscape of the sea as you are literally driving down up this windy road up the mountain, and this highway will take you up to the sky kind of idea. So it's this gorgeous name for a highway that is about the splendor of creation. And you go up this, and every part of it, it's breathtaking, whether it's a waterfall on the side or as you see the kind of the ships navigate through the ocean, and the splendor of every creature. We've seen bears on that highway. I mean, it is gorgeous. And what I realize every time I go there is, Lord, my goodness, how beautiful is your creation, yet you thought of me. And so I wanted to share with you in Psalm 95, it says, "Oh, come, let us sing to the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Let us come into his presence with thanksgiving. Let us make a joyful noise to him with songs of praise. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. And in his hands are the depths of the earth, and the heights of the mountains are his also. The sea is his, for he has made it, and the hands formed into the dry land. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker, for he is our God, and we are his people." And that is my prayer for British Columbia, that we would humble ourselves. We would kneel down, that this would be our time, as Vicki said, a time of prayer, a time of deep reflection, of pressing into the Maker of heaven and earth. Lord, you've made me. What is your purpose for me right now? There is so much living hope that each one of us actually possess. And so as we are navigating through these interesting times, let us actually be people that share that living hope and share the Maker as we actually experience him in our intimacy.
Amazing. Thank you, Anne. That's so encouraging. Sea to Sky. That's so beautiful, representing British Columbia. Well, as we finish up here, Vicki, I want to go to you. Just an encouragement to the women and men in BC and to the rest of Canada. What would you say as a final takeaway?
Take this time. It's a gift, actually, and to see where God's going to put you in places. Your neighbors. This is probably most of the people that you can't see or have contact with is your neighbors. And what an opportunity to really just to get to know them, if you don't know them, and to just have those, just to be there and have that contact and start building a relationship. Because as you build that relationship, so many great conversations can come from, so that when this is over and we are expanding more, we've got a relationship that we're going to deepen.
I love that. So, sometimes we get overwhelmed by all the need.
Yeah.
God just says your neighbor right beside you, you can connect with, the 5 or 6. It's not, and that shouldn't overwhelm anybody. That is possible. It's accessible. I love that. Your neighbor. It's great. Thank you, Vicki. Elita, your encouragement to the women in BC and Canada.
Yeah, I would say similar to what Vicki said, but just I think that these are days where it's easy to be unintentional, especially when COVID-19 first happened. We were kind of all floundering about like, oh, I guess we'll binge on Netflix. I guess we'll, do these kind of things. And well, some of those things are kind of fun. I think that I have seen this time as a time to be really intentional with my time so that it doesn't just escape me, and to create some new rhythms in my own life. And as a community, some of us went through just a 30-day period of really rediscovering what those rhythms are: prayer, fasting, spending time with the Lord, journaling. That way, when we come out of this, because we will come out of this, we will come out of quarantine eventually. And I know that the provinces are starting to lift different things, but the point is we're all going to get back to a new normal. And when we get back to that new normal, my hope for all of us, my prayer for all of us, is that we will have created some new rhythms in our lives that we will carry over. And that might be a little different for all of us, but part of that is just being intentional in our pursuit of the Lord. And because it doesn't happen on accident. We don't become mature Christians on accident. We don't pursue him accidentally. So I think just with this time, let it be a gift. And as we're reaching out to our neighbors, and all those things are so good, but also remembering, like, make time every day to spend time with the Lord, to pursue him, to fix our eyes on him. And that is the answer to so many of the other things that the other problems and issues that we're facing now and in the days to come. So yeah.
That's good. Thank you, Elita. That's great. Stephanie.
Yeah, my encouragement would be, because I've been working on this myself, is that you are enough. And that you are enough, period. You don't need to have millions, thousands, or anything to reach your neighbor, to share a tea with somebody who's elderly, whatever it is that you're doing. You are placed in your neighborhood, in your city at this time, and God has a reason, and you are enough to carry forward his great word.
Wow. You are enough. That is powerful. Thank you, Stephanie. So Anne, some thoughts, and then I'll finish up at the end, but your closing thoughts for today.
Yeah, I think poster that's behind you there. It's, you are seen, you are heard, and you're deeply loved by God. That's what this is really about. It's a reminder. And as we hear what he's doing in the lives of our sisters, it's an encouragement to each one of us to continue running that race of faith, doing this journey, and then sharing it with the people that we influence. I love what Stephanie said, that we are positioned in different parts, different neighborhoods, different parts of the country, different cities, all of that. That's all intentional. And because we're seen and heard and loved by God, I think our response is important. Our response to that is really essential in this time more than ever. Remember, there's prayers that have been invested. I know there's prayers have been invested for God, to move so powerfully in this country, and he's on the move. We may not realize how he's answering those prayers, but he is. And so I think it's a really incredible time in history that we get to witness all together. And I'm looking forward to hearing the conversations as we travel from coast to coast. I'm excited to hear the common threads and the uniqueness of every province.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Anne. Well, thank you, Anne and Vicki, Elita, and Stephanie, for your presence with us. Thank you for all who joined us here, online and on the show, to be with us. And to you, our viewers and listeners, you are enough. You are enough. And so pray to God, talk with him in your need. What Elita said, be really intentional about spending time with him. And as you go, know that yes, you are seen, heard, and deeply loved by God. Today, tomorrow, and the next day, he is for you. Thanks for joining us. Bye.